looking hyper aggressive in this first game. And right now, once again, these grand finals are very short tournaments. If you're in the middle of the rankings at this point, you still have a very, very big shot to rank up super high at the end of the event.
You're about to hate me. You know which team I'm going to be looking at specifically?
Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't say it. 7.
Godlike Star Wars, because man, they had a chance to take on 4 Angry Men, as you were saying there, Felix, but they just didn't go for it. They were too passive. They were going to end up fighting them anyways. It wasn't because the circle was on them, Max. I just didn't like that play out of them.
Unfortunately, as much as I want to support Godlike Star Wars, it was a bad play. They had a strong compound. They had all the information in their world because they had the highest position in that entire circle. They have action on the rooftops, literally almost impossible to move him away from that position in nade range. And they're just like, let's just allow the entirety of 4AM to survive. The thing is, in a position like that, 2 teams cannot survive. Only 1 team can take full control of the North. That's why so many teams kept falling one after another. The moment you allow a team like 4AM in particular to survive and get back up as a 4-man team, you just can't aim for the chicken dinner because you're just going to keep fighting one another. At that point, you move in, you clear the team, and you take full control of what's up north.
I think they were relying too much on their throwables. We saw that molly, we saw the nades too, and they just weren't hitting, and I think they took too long to actually make that push.
Yeah, I felt like I was very I got a little bit tilted.
Get into it.
I got it out there.
Talking about tilted, maybe a team that we haven't really talked about today at all, which is Vampire. And I saw them lose Schwebex really early on. And I feel like that's become kind of a pattern. When Schwebex is not there, I really feel that has a lot of impact.
I'm actually really happy you bring that up because I talked to Sir Tanny right before the broadcast started.
Did you?
And I asked, is there any changes that's going to be happening? What's going to be your approach? No changes in mind. They are doing nothing. He did say that they had a few issues with Circle that kept moving away from them.
Yep.
I understand that Circles can be a little bit of a frustrating part of the game, but unfortunately, you have to work with it, okay? You cannot always have that as like a quote-unquote excuse almost I want to go with. Like, Circles don't go in your favor, just rotate a little bit quicker. You need to change something. Unfortunately, as you said, because of that, they lose players pretty quickly because the Circle just keeps moving away from them.
Quick, let me put you on the spot. How many games would you give them until they actually start making changes?
I don't think they're going to make any. They said that they haven't made any.
No. But if it was you, if you were in their shoes, when would you start making changes?
Oh, I would have made changes already after day 1.
My boy.
Yeah, I would have already done them.
Well, looking at changes, maybe we're going to see some changes in the teams to watch from these 2 beautiful analysts. Maxman, you're going with, Wolves, a team that has just performed beautifully.
It was a nice fight versus DRS.
It really was.
Yeah, thank you very much for your approval. No, I think that Wolves know every once in a while we see some good fights, and I do want to support the team. We saw one really good game from them yesterday in particular. They're still like getting used. Like once again, yesterday that was their first day playing in like this kind of tournament outside of their home region. So I think that now they've adapted. They can get a little bit more used to this lobby. I think we can expect hopefully some good things in today and also hopefully tomorrow's matches.
Yeah, for them to be able to bounce back the way they have, I can see why you're picking them. And I'm actually picking Inco Gaming, and it's not just because they're gorgeous.
Why.
Okay, it's not just because they are a gorgeous team. It's because now they are in first place, right? Are they going to be able to do what Alpha 7 wasn't able to do in that first game? Are they going to be able to actually maintain that lead? We'll have to wait and see. And I'm picking for Angry Men and Nova because I mean it's looking like it might be a China day instead of a Brazil day.
Gorgeous region.
Yes, it is.
Talking about Nova maybe a little bit more specifically, I said that they kind of felt like that to me. They were a little bit more passive at the start. Do you think we're going to see that throughout all the games today? That maybe want to stick as 4 and make sure they get into late game?
I have the impression that what we were seeing from Nova a lot yesterday, and I think we were in agreement on that 7, is that they struggled to get in circle a lot of the times, at least efficiently. This game, I mean, as we said, not really a lot of action happening south, and that's a good thing because they read the circle and the teams how they were going to rotate extremely well. Like, we're just going to find the easiest entry point and actually get ourselves in circle because that's where Nova shine the most, is when they are in control of their position. When they're pushing, 50-50 chance they'll come out on top, but when they're controlling that position, it's so much harder to move them out of that spot. So if they have rotations like this throughout all of today, I could see that comeback happening right now.
And something with Nova, I mean, it comes down to, are they going to be losing some of their players early on in the match? We saw that happen yesterday, and it was definitely hindering them. And, I mean, going back to group stages, it was actually an issue that was happening with that team. They were able to readjust that. They were able to make sure, like you guys were saying, try to keep their whole 4 towards the end of the game, and that's when they started doing amazing things.
But inhibited. That's a bit tough, man.
You both picked 4AM as well. I know that you were quite... you were liking them in the last game, especially because they were under so much pressure. Is there something that sticks out to you about 4AM just in general? Because that it's what it looks like to me. They perform really well under pressure in terms of fighting scenarios. They rarely ever really choke. You know that. No, it's a bad word, but they rarely choke in fights, is what I feel like.
Yeah, we picked them because they're gorgeous. Too many times on that one. But I think the 4AM played that position north really well. They were third-partying fights in particular really efficiently. GeekFam, I mean, you brought them up as a team that was looking super aggressive. They were taking fight after fight after fight. When you're taking fights, that opens up opportunities for other teams around you, and that's what 4AM are so good at. They're super opportunistic as a team. They see an opportunity to go for a fight, create more space in their location, they're going to take that fight, and that's why I enjoyed this start of the game. Still, as we said, I do think Star Wars should have taken them down, but at least they took a good fight in the north while they still could.
I feel like if that T2K player wasn't there, it would have been a completely different story. That 4AM definitely got set back. I feel like they definitely would have rotated early on. They would have been scouting a lot more, and that T2K player was just throwing them off because they were getting naded by a guy like Star Wars. They were just so confused, but I'm pretty sure this match is going to be different.
Yeah, 100%. And one more team that you just touched on, which is called like Star Wars, and I feel like they're in a really weird spot now where it's just make or break.
I would say they're in a bad spot all that right now if you're looking at the rankings, but yeah, I don't really know where to put it. This does not feel like the Star Wars that I used to see. I don't know if you're in agreement on that one, Seven, but really, like, the team just looking confident, willing to take these fights, like, no hesitation in their eyes when an opportunity arises in front of them, and right now it's just not happening too much right now. But look at that, I'm seeing some Paraboy signs in over there. So I can't. Oh, say I can't quite. I was about to say I can't read, but I can read, but not the sign.
let me put on my glasses. Oh wait, it's gone. But what I was gonna say there with a guy like Star Wars, yeah.
There's an order sign as well. There's an order sign.
I love it.
Yes. I gotta go
down
that
one with the glasses.
Give out some hugs.
What I was gonna say there for a guy like Star Wars is I'm kind of getting flashbacks of last PMGC. There was a team that was just kind of hyped up a lot. And it's just nothing happened, Max. I'm starting to get flashbacks. I don't want to say it, but it might happen again.
7, you continue like that, I'm going to demote you to 6. Okay, just you just keep on going that way, man.
At least 6.9.
Okay, nice. Okay, very cool.
Wow. Maybe coming back to a team that we have on camera right now, which is Alter Ego, the home ground team. They have so much support today. It is absolutely unreal. What are your expectations? Can they come out of that slump they have?
They're less.
Wait, bro, the thing is, with the amount of games you still have, 100%, they can still make it happen. They can still climb back up. The thing is, it's going to start looking scary at the end of today if they're still in that position. Hopefully that's not the case. There's still a lot of hope available. But seeing how dominant the teams at the top currently are, you can't just be consistent now. You need to get those big, explosive matches if you want to initiate that big comeback for Alter Ego.
I'm so glad you said that. I was about to call you out. I was about to say you were lying.
Sway, bro.
That they had a chance. But I agree with you. If they want to make a change, it has to happen now. Yeah, you are in your home country. Yeah, you are in the hometown. You have the fans behind you. But all of that is not going to matter if you are just not able to perform, if you're just not able to put up plays. I mean, we have seen, I think, maybe 2 plays that stand out to me in my head out of that team. After all the matches after the 7 matches that we have played, that's just not going to be able to cut it. Not even going to be able to cut it for a top 10, and definitely not going to be able to cut it for a top 5. And I'm not even going to say top 1 because that's out of reach right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, it's very similar to other teams. So we lose some players pretty early. We want to try and avoid that. Like when they take fights, they look really confident, but I feel like it's all they're just too passive or they're over-aggressive. Like if we find that middle spot where they take fights that make sense, that would be the Alter Ego I want to see.
Talking about too aggressive, there was a situation yesterday that you were kind of disappointed in.
Don't even.
It's your choice to talk about it, but they were at somewhere near Volcano, and there was a team just above them, and they pushed out of the circle almost.
Yeah, the circle finisher was near Yasnai Polyana Fields, like down to the southern western side, and they took a fight versus Nova, and that was like a perfect fight that makes sense. They were aggressive on a position that just was going to give them so much to them. Exactly, and they won it. The crowd went wild, as you would expect. Fantastic. That's a fight this strong. Then the team third parties their position, and the Blue Zone is pushing that team towards them, and yet they actively push out of their comfort zone for a fight that is going to come their way eventually. They don't have to chase it down, and they push it one by one. That is when they're taking a fight that's over-aggressive and doesn't really make too much sense. So just put a little bit more thought behind those fights, and I think that if they just waited, they could have got himself 3-4 more limbs, maybe also take himself the game off that match.
Going from last to first. Now, we haven't really talked about Inco that much, Seven, but give me your expectation for this day in general. Is there a possibility they will be in first place after 12 matches being played? Still remaining there.
with Inco Gaming, I'm honestly not sure. If it was Alpha 7, I would say, yeah, I can see Alpha 7 definitely being there at the top. I feel like I'm just not convinced with the inconsistency that I saw out of Inco Gaming. I think Blank was able to point it out perfect for us, that it was, I mean, they had 2 great games at the start, and then in the middle, they kind of just disappear, and then at the end, they kind of showed up again. Inco Gaming cannot do that. That's not even a consistency that they want to have here if they want to be able to maintain that first place. And going from Inco Gaming and other teams that I personally want to talk about is going to be Fireflux Esports and S2G. This was a team that we're kind of wondering what are they going to be able to do here, right? With the announcement of PMGC 2023 Grand Finals going to be in Turkey. I want to see more out of these teams right now. I mean, they started off the day with, what, a 15th place finish for S2G with only 1 ranking point. That's not going to be able to cut it. And then you got Fireflux only being able to get 2 points.
Hey, okay, it's China Day today, Turkey Day tomorrow. No, it's a region step up time at a time, okay?
Okay.
I'm still scared of the castles over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me put that into context. The reason why Max is saying that is because the Turkey casters are right next to us.
I'm scared of a death stare right now, okay? It's going to be coming my way eventually, but they could pop off. We mentioned it. We had some clear critics about the criticism, for these 2 teams. Fireflux, they get 1 big pop-off, and that's a lot of their points. Then they kind of like fizzle out for the following matches. And then you have S2G, or you get eliminations, or you get placement points. We need to find that middle ground. Those are the 2 things we need to see from these 2 teams, and as of right now, we haven't really seen it.
Something that a lot of this team, especially the ones that are currently, I'm going to say, between 3rd and 5th, right? We saw Inco Gaming getting away yesterday with being in 2nd place because the teams that were actually trying to catch up to them just weren't performing. I feel like today, those teams that are actually trying to catch up to 2nd place and 1st place will be performing, especially with what we just saw, and especially the jump up that we just saw out of 4 Angry Men. They need to find a consistency. They cannot have this off and on games. They cannot be having those pop-up performances like you're saying. I'm talking about S2G, and then just completely disappearing.
Yeah, I have the impression every time we go back to these grand finals, there's one word that keeps coming back, and it's consistency.
Yep.
It's the name of the game.
It will always be.
It will always be. And even if you get those big pop-off games and then bad games, you need to be consistent in how you get those pop-off games too. So there's no, secret sauce, okay? You need to just get yourself those big games or just consistency, and that is how you're going to reach the way to the top.
100%. A team maybe that's still in the middle of the pack. IHC, we saw them last game being very aggressive early on, capitalizing on a mistake from T2K, but then they fell off again. What's your thought process behind IHC and maybe their performance today? Do you think they're going to be coming back strong?
I mean, hopefully. Once again, that fight with Ziol yesterday when he took himself that 1v1 was looking really good. They were looking confident with their approach. I think it was Wolves in that 6th match when they were approaching Inco Gaming also. Like, they were a team that was seeming to be aggressive because they knew how valuable that position actually was. Yeah, I do think, though, that fight you did mention on this previous game that just happened, I think they were just seemingly not prepared that well for that fight at the time, so I'm not really going to put too much thought into it. But yeah, IHC, I think that they have clear potential to get themselves some good games, and I would like to see if Mongolia as a region also can have some big step-ups.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I mean, with what we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the day was that IHC at least got a win already, right? They're going to have a little bit of that confidence boost that they were able to kind of do that. Get that out of the way, in a way. Check market. Okay, we got to win. Now we can focus on other stuff and try to be a lot more consistent with IHC. I think right now with what they're doing, I don't see them being in the top 10.
We will see about that one. Let's do a quick recap of what's been happening so far. Or not. Maybe we're staying right here.
With a recap.
It's coming right now. Ooh, oh, that is just a lovely graphic.
Oh, this is nice.
Oh, so we can see.
By the way, something I did want to point out yesterday, nobody keeps challenging Wolves in Pochinki, and I feel like at some point that we're going to be able to take advantage of that, and I think it's finally starting to show that they are going to be able to take advantage of just being able to move wherever they want, whether it's north, whether it's south, whether it's east or west, and I think that's definitely helped them out in a big, big way.
Yeah, I do also really like the rotation that we saw from Nova, Gatka. Of course, you're not going to have a lot of teams up in the northern side of the map, so they tend to be on these eastern circles to always go for the instant rotation northern side of the river, because you have like maybe 2-3 teams, so the chances of you clashing in another team at that stage is very, very slim. It's been working out good for them so far, and then instantly as we see a lot of these teams trying to just center up, because we know this terrain here, 7. You don't have an insane amount of good position, and then you have this shift, and you're just like, oh my god, this is horrible. Yeah. North is going to be hell.
By the way, look at the 2-2 splits there from Nova.
Yes, they always do it.
They do, and we saw that yesterday, especially in Miramar too, and it kind of worked out perfect for them for that circle. And right here, I mean, it ended up working out perfect for them as well, as they were able to kind of just figure out where they were going to be going. And I feel like this is what Nova's bread and butter is. Being able to utilize those 2-2 splits that they end up doing, putting themselves in a great situation, and then at the right moment, actually getting together and putting themselves in an even better situation.
Exactly, because that's what these 2-2 splits enables Nova to do. It keeps your options open, and boom, the circle pops off, and they saw this, like, okay, we're going to regroup on the 2 players further south, go for the wide rotate, and as we said, avoid all of the madness up north. That is what enabled them to make it so far in the game, until once again, little bit it, but it's still far enough and a really strong game.
See, and this is what I'm saying for Angry Man. It would have been a completely different story if that T2K player didn't show up. All right, yeah, they have to rotate, but I mean, if they would have been able to just kind of push back on Godlike Star Wars, which if they didn't have T2K player just laying down, being a little snaky snake, that would have ended up happening. I think they would have ended up in a much, much better performance.
How often are you going to bring back the Star Wars fight?
I'm just going to keep doing it.
Until, keep it above my head, aren't you?
Yeah, until they start performing.
Yeah, not too cool. But at the end of the day, 2-2 split from Nova worked pretty good. Didn't really capitalize on it too much yesterday, but they keep doing it, and I feel like the execution on that split in particular this game enabled them to make it in the late game. Just like, it was a breeze for them to make it.
100%. And with that being said, you can hear the crowd getting hyped up because we are going into match number 2. John, Alan, and Blank, take it away.
That's right, we're ready for Miramar. So are the crowd, so is everybody involved. The players have loaded into the lobby, and they're getting ready for the desert.
Absolutely, I think the desert is a very scary place. Big map, Alpha 7 usually was quite good at this one, influenced Kemin. Kind of took up that mantle over in Americas though for quite some time. This is going to be a little bit more of a difficult match. I think that with some of these other teams starting to build up momentum now, build up some actual good games, some good consistency, we might see a very different Miramar to start off our day here. Excited to get into it though. Some of our players already down there in the booths, repping Brazil, which is good to see. Honestly, some of these teams, I think they've done very, very well, considering the circumstances, considering where they've come during this year. There's some great storylines. I think Inco, almost out of nowhere, a team that a lot of people didn't expect to do this well, have really proven a lot of people wrong, which is great to see. Love to see all the fans here as well in the crowd, trying their best. Come on now, you got to practice that type of stuff.
Oh my God, some of the talent, some of the Indonesian talent had those backstage, those ball toys. I'm really bad at it.
I'm great at it.
No,
I was doing it in
Don't
secret.
lie to me. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, I did a full like 20 run.
I can't believe you.
Yeah,
I
was like spinning in a circle. I was so good at it that it wasn't allowed to go on
You don't
video.
even know what a circle is.
Well, begs to differ. I've seen a lot of circles in my time, specifically in PUBG Mobile. Also here on Miramar as we head into match 2. Getting started right now, right here. Circle, not here yet, but I can identify one when I see one. However, the playing path is on our screens. Over from Minas del Sur all the way up towards just the right side of La Cobreria. So a lot of this area over towards the eastern side, a little bit more inaccessible. Over towards the western side, it is quite rocky, a little bit more difficult to navigate over. So it's going to be a bit of a weird start for a lot of these teams. It's going to be a case of dropping down, getting some vehicles. But I expect that we might see some scuffles when it comes to teams dropping on one another.
Certainly some scuffle potential on the cards here. Match number 8 of the 18 set. We are, of course, coming up to that halfway mark. We'll be reaching that after the next game that we play. But for now, in the desert, IHC dropping down right on top of Monte Nuevo. And no one really looking to challenge them out here just yet. South side, fairly solidly occupied, but no real hot drops. Actually, maybe Buradam, with their easternmost player, might crash into DRS if DRS don't go too much further on those parachutes. But it looks like they are just going to disengage from one another. Don't want to get locked into it too early. Foreigner on the Valle de Mar split. And Blank, you think you know circles? Name 3.
This one right here.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a ring on. That is also a circle.
Oh. The La Bendita crater.
That
Very
sight
good.
right there, that is a circle.
You are getting very good at this.
Thank you.
Pick feet. Not quite able to land the winning shots over to T2K Legend.
However,
Fortunately,
you pull out the weapon that isn't necessarily meant for this type of range and you hit a few shots. Legend currently just zigzagging this one out of there. Circle, though, up towards our eastern side. Inco, of course, gravitating towards the center of it, as per usual. Quite good at this one. We have Nova doing excellently well after that last game, down towards the south of Minas Generalis. 4 AM also very much far out the way, very similar to our last game, so we can kind of expect them to move a little bit early. Look at that, taking down that player from T2K. It gets done and dusted. The Wolves finally starting to howl here a little bit in the PMGC.
Getting a little bit of strength from that last game, a late survival for the solo that remained. Third place for Angry Men as well. Doing quite a lot. Getting a lot of eliminations in that previous game. We saw only Inco get ahead of the 3 Chinese teams. And they were the ones to take the chicken dinner home. So, strong performance, really, from these squads. 4 Angry Men looking to try and capitalize on that, to try and convert on that, gain a little bit of momentum. Northern side, Alpha 7 will have to push in through Geek Fam if they want to get central. Inco, typically, as they always are, already very close to that central area.
Influence came in. Team that I mentioned, we're doing a lot of work here on Miramar during America's PMPLs. See what they have to offer here today. Obviously, down in 4th place now, 57 points. Very good capability, though, to jump up a little bit, maybe even take 2nd place this game if Alpha 7 aren't able to find their footing, because right now they are slipping just a little bit. They've got the slippery soles on when they really should have come equipped with crampons. Get those spikes dug into the side of these rocky hills. Fortunately, on the northern side at the moment, would like to move further down, past Tierra Bronca, maybe El Azahar. Only Federals in this location, providing scouting for Influence Kevin. Perhaps in a position to get some loot on board, which would be fantastic for them.
As it will for everyone. No other big early occurrences going on right now. It's interesting that DRS went all the way out to Puerto Paraíso. They dropped near Los Higos on the northern shore, split north and south on those islands. And I guess they just picked up those vehicles. Once the circle had popped, they decided that they're going to be moving up past Impala, which is currently empty, for DRS's progression northwards. And they can swing in from the east side near Minas Generalis.
When we look at this tournament as a whole so far, we've had some very interesting ups and downs from teams, and also just looking at the leaderboards in general. You know, 11th place IHC 49 points. You're looking all the way up towards 4 AM at 61. It's a 12-point difference right now between 3rd and 11th, which is really not a lot whatsoever. That's one semi-decent game, to be honest. That's all you need. That's all you want. That'll see you happy going up towards the top of the tables. I think 4 AM right now, they have extended that lead a little bit, but this game has to be another decent one. What they really want is that buffer that currently Inco and perhaps A7 currently still hold on to. If A7 goes down once again early with no points, it's going to be a case of A7 no longer being up towards that top side, because I do think there's going to be a fair few teams rivaling that point scoring of 78 after this game. So for A7, a lot of that saving grace is now gone.
More than that, Inco now 12 points ahead. At the top of the tables, a clean 90. Will they be the first team to break 100, or is someone else just going to blast out from those 2nd to 5th positions, or 2nd to 7th positions, essentially, with the 3-way tiebreaker going on there? The Wolves managing to meet the match with the Nepalese teams. Able to keep that one even. But it is still very, very tightly packed on pretty much the entirety of the tables, barring Vampire and Alter Ego.
A lot of teams really like to stamp their mark during this PMGC, and right now it seems the best time to do it, with Nova currently in 10th place, 52 points. This has never been so clear a path to success for a lot of these teams right now. Nova has dominated the scene for such a long time. The 3-peat would have been absolutely glorious. It does get further and further away every single game we pass. I think for Nova, though, that last game versus Inco, really not ideal for them. Will dampen the confidence just a little bit.
Potentially. It certainly does have that possibility, but either way, they did manage to get into second place, and it was a phenomenal spray transfer from Nenebete of Inco to be able to take them down. So in a lot of senses, sure, the actual result itself in terms of the numbers wasn't super bolstering, but I think that they can take a lot from that game in terms of confidence moving forwards. They weren't always in the best spot. They did have to move around and avoid fights where they didn't want to take them and take them in the right fashion when they did, and I feel like they constantly made correct decisions during that last game.
Absolutely. I think that where they came from, there was a real chance to actually take down the boys from Inco as well, but they're very good at hunkering down, getting themselves into a position where it was safe, a lot of engagements. This time around, it does feel like this lobby is starting to realize Inco's strategy, Inco's technique. We have a massive clump towards the center now, because this is what tends to happen, is that with these circles, with these teams, you get just a slow constrict of teams towards that center side. Then edge becomes a lot more valuable. You'll see the teams start to spread out a bit more. And Inco has been really capitalizing off a lot of these teams playing edge for quite some time, in which case the center of the circle becomes very valuable because it's so free to get into. I think Inco might struggle because of this. Again, they have so much experience playing center, they might just be able to outplay a lot of these teams. Wow. But with this, it's no longer free whatsoever. Inco's got to be a little bit worried with the pathing that they take in towards the circle, but it's certainly not going to be an easy central position for them this time around.
I was just keeping an eye on DRS and Buradam on the southeast coast. DRS fairly slow to rotate up from Puerto Paraíso up to Impala, and it's allowed Buradam to actually catch up with them. Now a little bit of conflict potentially on the southeast coast as My Name P looking to peek on over towards Rules, both of whom are in the blue zone now. Spotted. Rules takes a little lick of damage there, and that's going to slow things down, make it all the harder. My Name P can't really afford to take too much himself, but Killer dispatched early into the buggy, trying to flee the scene, but Rules under pressure still by My Name P on the ridgeline. Can't quite connect the shots. The bullets are not there in the magazine, and Rules can careen down the hillside, get some healing done, and get the res on.
That could have been an easy one too there for My Name P. It's funny because that shot over towards Killer was the really difficult one. The player just sending away in the buggy should have been pretty simple. Even Stevens. Fortunately, pressure gets the player, and My Name P is not able to finish this one out. Sends up towards that top side. Fortunately, in the meantime, he is taking massive amounts of damage.
And remember, this is in the blue zone, so you will need to stop and heal. Killer re-knocked there, and actually they're not even going to go for the... Oh, no, he is. Rules is going to stick by his teammate on this front. Try and get Killer back to feet. Couple of frags going the way of DRS. Wolves have picked up one. S2G have picked up two. That'll be against Stalwart. Inco have lost a player as well.
This is always the issue for A7. Is that Influence Kevin take very similar rotational pass. I think they do it a bit sooner, a bit more slick. For A7 now they have to figure out a different approach inwards. They could just go for the blasting charge play, try and set that one up outside the doors of Influence Kevin and just breach inwards. Not be a bad idea. Fortunately, it's one of those fights that is not easy. Influence Kevin and A7 both widely known for their team fight capability. Very strong fraggers on board for both these teams. Inco, like I said, losing a player. Again, this is what I thought would be a big issue. A lot of these teams are realizing that Inco is getting away with playing center far too often. So now everyone sends center early on, keeps it chill, keeps it easy. Nova's figured this out too. Now Inco's been shunted out on that northern edge. They're going to have to move a little bit further. This is where come into conflict. Again, though, I feel like Miramar never was their strongest map in the first place. Usually Erangel is where they shine. Most of their best rotations are there too. If you can get those blast out performances on those maps, yes, they might not be consistent, but it might just be enough to see them through. It does leave them open, though, to the chase. Specifically at the end of that day 3 tomorrow, we will conclude everything. If you were sat at a point for Inco where you go down, you've had your blast out games, you're sat ahead, you don't want to be in that position where you're getting no points anymore, because that really does open the gates up for the chase.
Oh, 400 men taking a knock from Cal C, and that's a very swift flush coming through as well. S2G. managed to pick up a third elimination so far in the game with 58 players remaining. They haven't really had too much of a challenge to deal with, and this is great news for S2G's position in this next circle, with 4 angry men ahead of them and most likely in a location that they'll want to stretch out to.
Yeah, getting that initial knock and flush can make it so much easier. I love the positions they're playing as well. 2 forward in the buildings, providing that high ground control, as well as even more high ground control in the back, watching for these rotations over on the western side. It's really well done. S2G's got this one on lock on the western side. A7, currently in coal mine. Pick up some shots over towards Buddadam, while careening on past.
Buddadam having been locked in with DRS for a little bit of time, trying to escape the cage, but Wolves should spot them. My name P gets some airtime, both on our screens and in the into the vehicle in the Murado. Has to run on the rims here now near the church and through the graveyard. We'll have to pray that they don't take too many shots here, but Beautiful is on the roof. My name P able to hop out and go on the inside there. Pick Feet burns the vehicle, but allows the player into the compound.
My name P, suddenly solo player in the midst of the Wolves here. Looking to bite back versus these guys. Only 2 players for Buddadam. 1 nade. Be all it takes, and he's completely going for the bank on the outside. Molotov though, that's curtains.
Oh, I thought he might have been able to get a knock in response there, but the Wolves will hold it down. Fireflux in the meantime, however, could be lighting up Pick Feet on the hold. Maybe even stealing this point away. Manages to back off behind the ridgeline. Goes for a second peek there on a sliver of HP. Ketch lines it up as well. And Fireflux, they want to snap up a couple of those points, but the Wolves managed to get that point into their wallet. 6th place now held by them. IHC moving around on the northern side, near Hacienda del Patron, on those hills to the south side of it. They've got Stalwart to deal with further south of them.
Yeah, some real cheeky stuff there coming through from Fireflux, trying to pick up those eliminations, even in what I was heard a pretty terrible spot to be in on that amount of HP. Inco just meandering around on that northwest edge, 4 AM. Do we have Kengzo to maybe worry about just a little bit? And S2G currently grouping up right on the edge of the circle now. And this is where what you were talking about earlier, John, might come into play, is thinking about moving over towards 4AM's position. You can imagine that they're ready and waiting with the nades, though. Any kind of push coming through from S2G is going to have to be quickly dealt with. A lot of times when you're sending those grenades out as well, it has to be perfectly timed, because if you pull the pin and not for long enough, and S2G's already at your doorstep, those nades are going to be all for naught and probably going to cause more chaos than benefit in those types of situations.
IHC 2 players forwards, Godless and Alex at the back. We saw them playing off each other very well. An engagement we saw from them last game, but this time around they will be the backstop, not the forward vanguard. Alter Ego on the northeast side yet to make their turn southward into the next circle. Nova really with a massive position here, controlling a lot of the east side.
Really good spot for them. Apologies.
You were just so astonished.
I was, yeah. Another sound came out from the depths of my lungs, apparently. My alter ego. T2K, though, on that south side, trying to make their way in. I think so far Nova has dealt with them quite easily. You can see Jane's very low on HP. Vampire Esports move up. 4 players still remaining. No changes, as Max said. Again, 30 points. Still a big game. Would set them up with a lot of the rest of the teams. This is a very even lobby at the moment. I don't think anyone's really playing that badly whatsoever. Darius chilling on that eastern side. The east is what they own. They keep it. Locked down. Nova, though, at the moment have a really strong spot. Towards that center side, Paraboy can play off the top of these ridges. Over towards the west, the compounds are very, very prominent here. One of the only compounds. I think the difficulty with this one, though, is it's very accessible to many different teams. So when it gets to a point where this is really the only place left to go, you're going to see a lot of teams trying to occupy this space, and Nova will have to regroup, recoalesce into one spot, and try and focus one point of attention. Paraboy is just moving backwards and forwards now, trying to gather as much information as possible, prepared for any kind of push from the team.
No one really going to be pushing them from that northern side, though. There's a little bit too much open ground for them to try and cover, unless Alter Ego just try and full send straight through the middle of the circle. It's the southwest I think they should be most worried about, with the Wolves and Fireflux both taking occupation up there. The southeast side probably going to be able to hold itself out for one more circle, so until that gets pushed in, should be quite safe.
IHC looking for them to do a little bit more, honestly. Probably one of the teams we've seen with the most clutch plays. I talked about the nades have to be timed perfectly for 4 AM, but it looks like S2G have their number now.
Silas wants to put another one, another cat amongst the pigeons. Kelsey has taken a knock in the meantime, but they will be able to res this as Silas continues the bombardment. A re-knock, and 2 players now down. There's a Molotov to follow it up, but Silas is going to roll on forwards. There is a player to deal with. It's Good Xiao. He's already taken a lick of damage, and a nade over the top of the rock is not going to find the damage, and Silas has the challenge. An excellent shutdown, and Silas ruins the day for 4 Angry Men.
Beautiful nade over the top there. The arc is strong. Aims it perfectly. S2G realized they had to punch a hole through into this circle, and that was the excellent time to do it. Fantastic stuff there. S2G, that gives them a good chance. Unfortunately, with Kelsey going down in the back, took them a little bit longer to respond than they would have liked. Luckily, Silas is just very, very strong with it there.
Paraboy on the northwest point of the Nova hold did manage to find a player from Inco, but GeekFam all the way on the north took a long shot with an SLR over towards Paraboy. That's going to force Jimmy to reposition to get that res, and Inco might not be able to capitalize. They probably think he's still going. Wouldn't have heard those gunshots from all that way away.
Yeah, for Inco, they moved up towards that position that Paraboy was holding, and rightly so. I think that's one of the easiest points of ingress towards this side of the compound. Try and take that ridge side. Paraboy locks it down. Unfortunately, that delay there has caused some issues. Wolves lose Remember to Fireflux. Pick feet, though, still looking over the top. Nays going backwards and forwards. Doesn't do very much. Sorkai sends one's back of his own. Equally as inefficient.
Catch launching ordnance, providing cover. The Wolves will have to move parallel to them. IHC crashing into GeekFam. Alex down first. Snipes able to get the flush almost instantly, leaving the numbers at 2 on the inside. IHC with 3 pushing through the building now. Godless trying to hold on these corners. Yol onto the upstairs, and GeekFam don't want to take this disadvantage fight. They're going to regroup, reposition, and fight 4 versus 3. But Micah falls down to Demo as he sneaks away back into the building. The high ground occupied as well, as Yol has a nade to cook. They are launching that ordnance out as Yuhai flanks around the side for GeekFam. Godless falls, and IHC are down to 2 active. Yuhai around the door frame, looks for more damage and he'll find it, but Demo's still active. Ziol for the 1-2 punch, but he's cutting both of them down. Yuhai finally curtailed, and there is only 1 player now left standing, as IHC were able to deal with the backlines. In the meantime, there is a rock-up coming through as well from Godlike Stalwart. The desk said they wanted to see more from them, and this could be a whole host of points if they can move in at the right time. Damn rude for GeekFam. 1 or 2 players alive. Ziol isolated to the upstairs, and now Godlike Stalwart put a break on the fight.
Crazy moments here coming from IHC to hold this one off, but GeekFam able to re-stabilize here. Yuhai gets back up to speed. A huge amount of damage done by him, but Stalwart starting to send grenades through. 3 players for them.
Would be an excellent pickup if they're able to take down all 4 of GeekFam, but they are not willing to go for the full engagement here. If they'd have known the true numbers of the fight, they might have actually just gone for that push, but it's so difficult to know which way it's going. Nobody quite knows, unfortunately. Fireflux were down in the meantime on that south side. GeekFam and Stalwart still standoff now as we hop on over to S2G. This is southwest side of the circle. Wolves further out than S2G. T2K as well at their eastern side. S2G have that way up on the cliff face. See Razy looking to try and just launch on over those rocks. Scrambling up the scramble.
Indeed. A lot of these teams it is eggs and bakey, wakey, wakey. Because this is where things are going to start to get a little bit harder. halfway point on that next match. Vampire Esports move up. 43 players left, 13 teams still going. Vampire Esports might have just found themselves a position. This is what I was talking about earlier with Nova having to recoalesce. They take the strong building for themselves, hoping to hold out from there. And this could be another big game for Nova going forward. Influence came in also, but it's DRS taking it down for 7.
Carrillo, Mafioso.
Oh, just like that.
Both pulled down, reduced to mortals. This time around, Godlike Stalwart getting rolled down by the Geek Fam, who have been able to hold out against 2 crashes in the same location. They've lost U-High for their troubles, but they have managed to pick up a lot of points now, Blank, on that elimination count. 6 eliminations for Geek Fam. They are on the warpath. 3 players active for Inco. They lost a player earlier on. Now they're fighting around the sides with S2G. 4 players active for them. But Inco are on the inside track on the circle. Alter Ego crash across to the shack.
I think S2G, with the performance they've had so far, Inco's going to be a little bit worried, but Geek Fam's not done yet. Still taking shots towards Inco's side. Snipes has to hit the deck, continue to move it around. Doesn't even know where he's being shot from, and now Damn Rude, last remaining member for the team. And it's Alter Ego, in fact, in a pretty decent position, all huddled up in the shack.
Squash could be really, really brutal here, but Razy spotted around the side, and the Wolves are the other side of this hydraulic press that is crushing S2G. Squash spotted on the ridgeline, takes Memory down. 2 players for S2G caught in the hard place there. As Inco fall back, they want to keep 3 alive. That's all they've got to play with.
Really smart play there from Squash as well, because he wants to absorb those points coming through from S2G. Fortunately, it may have just given them time to get these players back on their feet. They will unfortunately lose Calci in the process. Silas, a really good game so far. Silas will use his last grenade to hopefully confirm its elimination over towards Memory. Doesn't do quite enough damage, but should bleed out fairly shortly regardless. Inco playing around this edge, just give them a massive amount of cover. I said earlier, it's probably one of the best places to crash onto this position. Fortunately, still taking damage. I think that might be either from Damn Rude or Alter Ego.
Of course, the knock coming through from Squash means that Memory's point goes over to Inco. 9 eliminations for S2G right now. As Damn Rude looks to line up more shots with the SLR over on towards Alter Ego. That is a lot of damage that can pour through those open doors. Unfortunately, he's a little bit broadside to Inco's position, to S2G. Nova, if they move a little bit further in, not that they have to with the circle as it is, as it sits, they won't have to move too far at all.
Geek Fam off the huge chance here in the PMGC. With U-High still on loan as well. You wonder if this might be one of the last chances for Geek Fam, PMGC, to put up a big performance or even look for the grand final title. With Micah back on board as well, they've created a fantastic squad with the help of U-High. Just wondering who will fill those boots for him. But right now they've got to take what they can get.
Wolves, they'd survived late into the game for the first match, but the second one, they will take a tumble a little bit earlier than they would have liked. 4 eliminations, though. Not a disaster, but not what they needed to try and pick the pieces up. S2G have an answer to Inco. And that is really, really fast there. 12 eliminations on the game now already as the Geek Fam going to add that one up to 13. Unlucky for some, but S2G will absolutely be glad of those points. Hamzy, sure, has been knocked, but that's rezzed very, very swiftly by Ray Z. In the meantime, Influence Kemen going to take the mad dash across the road, get past that crate and up to the hillside. Vampire on the broad of it. This killer still from DRS as the last player standing. Could prove to be troublesome.
S2G, Silas currently looking like a trash compactor at the moment because he is crushing it right now during this match. Hamzy G assisting with some great shots coming through for the Mini 14 and the Scar as well. A great supportive kit for him. Get the current damage as well. Look at that. Really nice evens on the damage score. Vampire Esports just barely living in the moment. Holding on for dear life. Basically on life support at this point in time. Sucking down the oxygen.
It's not going super well. There's nades from Lil Boy. Stoned has one of his own. Did manage to get the heal off, and the stims are going to start to tick up now. So the longer they're in this, the better chance they have. 15 eliminations now for S2G. And there's nades. Hang on a minute. Is this Alter Ego's coming through? Pombit burns them down. 3 players from Influence Kevin. They've taken a knee, and nades over are brutal. Alter Egos versus Influence Kevin, and it's going their way. Nova are also chiming into this as nades tipple over the top, picking up a couple of those points. 1 player remains, and it's Pombit for Alter Ego into the vehicle. 2 points for them. Nova picking up the share of it, though, with 3.
And up to 6 teams remaining. Pombit, that last golden survivor for the team many, many times now. But again, the massive eyes are on over towards S2G with that 15 eliminations. Everyone's staring at that. You're going to be worried about as well, 53 points at the start of this game with 15 on the top of it. You're looking at a big points total, 68 after that, not including points rankings either. So this could be a really, really good game for S2G to see them towards that top side. And we were waiting for that standout performance coming through from Turkey, that region that has just given and given and given this year.
Order from the top of the roof. Nova have been so brutal for so long here in this position, but they are now with their backs to the circle and will most likely have to move towards S2G. Lil Boy from Influence Kevin had his team taken away, but will still truck on. T2K getting picked apart now as S2G rack up 16. They started this game blank, 37 points behind the leader of Inko, with 1 elimination coming through from Inko as well. They are going to have one hell of a game, but this is how you do it. S2G with this match have got the potential to take over the top of the table.
Last zone now. Everyone's thinking about this one. Nova, second game in a row, they find themselves in a fantastic position. Just taking up that approach that Inko showed us before, but doing it in a way that looks so aggressive. Frozen just stands over the top. There goes T2K. Alter Ego ladder up to 4th place. A potential to go further. And S2G now start their assault over towards Nova, down the hill. First nade goes through, does not get anything done. Ray Z takes a bit of damage. Frozen, Order, both going up at the same time, trying to play off the back of one another. But Pombit, look at this, could play spoiler.
Buoyed by the crowd, the power of the fans, keeping him alive right now. Nova looking to try and crunch that one out of him. And they are being so cautious here, Blank. 5 eliminations on the game right now. And S2G just suppressing that ridgeline. Little Boy from Influence Kevin is still here and he still wants to play. Order falls first. Jimmy pushes up to the rock and will handle business. But this is an opportunity for S2G. Unfortunately, that door is shut. 1 player falls, the second soon to follow. Silas is the last to be put under pressure, put to the test, and with that, Nova take it down. From the central position, they held strong. And that is the way that they come back into it. They come back swinging.
An insane game there from Nova. I mean that they played all the cards correctly. They're in the right order with the right suit. I don't think that could have gone better for them. They picked a great position. Paraboy played a very, very busy game. Up towards that top side, back down again. He was scouting, never idle throughout this entire thing. It was a very, very well done match. But S2G, we have to congratulate them. I think everything went topsy-turvy towards the end, though. With shots coming from behind from Alter Ego, with Lil Boy getting in on the mix. I think S2G was completely confused towards those last moments. Regardless, they had gone through the ringer to get to that point. Unfortunately, Nova was just a little bit too hard of a challenge to tackle.
Just that little bit, unfortunately for them. With a couple more nades, they might have been able to do a little bit more. If Pombit had gone down earlier, they might have been able to move around the side a little bit more effectively. But they played it with 3 for so long, and they got so much done for S2G.
Absolutely they did. I think for S2G, they have to completely congratulate your boy, Silas. On the other hand of things, Alter Ego, what a way for it. I mean, I mentioned it earlier on, saying that Pombit, this guy is the golden survivor of the team, and he's certainly got a lot done there for himself. Got very, very far into the game. and lived that one out. It was not an easy lobby to live that one out in either, particularly being right at the bottom of the hill, pretty much where you get caught out almost 100% of the time. The fact they made it that far, fantastic stuff.
I didn't quite catch, actually, if S2G went down second or third. I think it was second.
Yeah.
But Pombit surviving till at least third is a really, really great result.
Absolutely. I think anyone here as an Alter Ego fan is going to be really happy with that one.
So you mean everyone here?
Everyone here. I mean, 10 points overall. You know what I will say about the audience and the fans here? It is very refreshing to get an audience that is cheering practically everyone on. I mean, even when S2G is doing really well, making some big plays, there's real appreciation from the crowd for those big plays. It makes me happy, it gets me hyped, and I'm hoping that if you guys can hear it in the back, you're getting hype at home too.
I'm sure they can. I don't think you could miss it, to be honest, Blank.
Absolutely.
And it's also refreshing to have a crowd that has rhythm.
Oh yeah, they really do.
They've been keeping those drums going, and I'm sure we'll hear them for many more matches to come, Blank. Nova, to be fair, in that circle, it was their game to lose, right? The one test that they had was to push out of that compound, and it was against diminished forces from S2G, from everybody else that surrounded them. Nova were able to take care of business and handle it for a chicken dinner.
Thank you so much, John Allen and Black, and welcome back to the desk. My goodness, is that one hell of a storyline we have back in our hands. S2G taking home a win in at least points-wise, a win in a incredibly convincing fashion. But in the end, it was actually Nova that got the chicken dinner. Tell me about it, Max.
I think it's fair to say, Seven, this is the Nova we wanted to see. This is them. They're turning up the heat right now in this second day of play for the Grand Finals. And I don't think they're going to slow down. They're going to keep the heat going even higher and higher and about to melt the entire arena here.
We've been teasing it. We were talking about it yesterday at the end of the day. We talked about it at the beginning of the day too. Nova on day 2 is an absolutely different animal. I mean, for them to be able to get 24 points, but as you guys mentioned, I mean, S2G, we got to give them some credit. We've been talking about how, they are able to get elimination. Sometimes they're able to get placement points. This was the perfect marriage for both of them.
Silas, he just put on an absolute clinic this game. That nade onto 4 AM, he eliminated almost the entirety after that with his team of Wolves. If he cleared out Nova, they just cleared all of PEL pretty much. But
today before he goes to sleep, he's definitely going to be looking at that 1v3 versus 4 Angry Men. He's going to be like, oh,
a core memory has been created.
Something incredibly interesting about that game was as well, Kelsey, your star player in that team, he got taken out very early on, and they still managed to pull through almost the entirety of that game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Silas just pretty much like clutched things out of
it was a
big
show.
portion of that game. It was a Silas show at the end of the day. But yeah, that's the cool thing, right? If you're still a team that, despite losing a player as valuable as Kelsey, as I say, like I do really like Kelsey. He's one of the top players in the European region. It goes to show how good all of the players currently are on that roster. Even when they're missing one great player, they can still perform and just pop the hell off. Currently with the most the most eliminations in a single match. That's what I was trying to say. Yes.
Before we head into a small break, and afterwards, don't run anywhere. We will have time to discuss that match in detail. But before we go into the break, quick shout out to our sponsors, starting off with Sony and the Xperia 1 Mark IV, that way. And obviously the Xperia Stream that you can see right here, which were co-developed in collaboration with professional esports players. You can play PUBG Mobile with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intense gaming and streaming. And also, we want to thank Prime Gaming. If you haven't checked out Prime Gaming yet, it is time to do so. You will get free games, not only games, but free in-game content also for PUBG Mobile. So make sure to sign up and check that one out. Also, we want to thank the PBESI, which is the local association in Indonesia in terms of esports, they're handling esports, and we want to thank them so much also for their support in terms of, you know, this tournament, this beautiful tournament that we have right here going on in Jakarta, Indonesia. And last but not least, you want to get your eyes peeled on the survey. You may have seen it already if you have been active in the chat. If you haven't, make sure to do so. You can check out the PMGC survey link on either in the chat as I've said or on all the social media platforms. So make sure to check that out. And the best thing about it is, if you do give us feedback and if you do answer that survey, you will get a chance to win some amazing prizes from our sponsors. So thank you all in advance for sharing your feedback via the PMGC viewer survey. And with that being said, we're heading into a small break, and we're going to do that as fast as we can because we want to get talking about that game. See you in a bit.
The time has come, so see we all fade. Painted scars of past mistakes. We stay strong and refuse to break. You know the world is yours to take, and we will be the one. Time to take a stand. The world is in our hands, and you can feel the weight. Circles closing in. Time to carry on, and we will be the
What an absolute crazy performance coming in from S2G and obviously Nova as well. We will be taking a look at the overall rankings in just a second. But guys, that was one hell of a performance, not only from Silas, but also from Nova, and I want to talk about them in specifics. Their rotations and their playstyle, we talked about it in the first map as well. It did seem to change now in terms of, in comparison to yesterday.
I mean, the 2-2 split, no, they tended to do it quite a bit, and they actually had, and we talked about it at the start of that game, actually, Alex, they had a 2-1-1 split towards the side of Graveyard, and the moment they had that amount of position, that amount of terrain in their control, in that, I think it was phase 2 at the time, just like, okay, this game has the potential to be absolute gold for them, and in that case, 7, it truly was.
Yeah, and when it comes to Nova, I mean, if they put themselves in a great place, this is a team that definitely can take huge advantage of that with the fragging power that they have, not only from Aura, not only from Paraboy, but from everybody else too. But now, the overall ranking, S2G currently in second place now, over taking over Alpha 7. I actually did not see that happening. And to one of the questions that you guys were asking me, do I think Inco Gaming was going to be first place? They're still being first place.
Yeah, and I want to say, there's one thing cannot take away from Paraboy. He is a man of his word. He is a man of his word. He said, oh, top 5. Oh, you know what? Maybe top 3. He is making it right back up the rankings. What a step up.
He told me top 5. I kind of gave him a look. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, you know what? Yeah, top 3.
Screw you, 7. We're going to make it 2 games. Yeah.
They might make it 3 games, to be honest, as we go to the second page here. DRS game, and this team we really haven't seen much. I mean, currently 60 points, and I kind of want to go down a little bit more. Wolf Esports, I feel like this team, they could definitely have a great performance like how Nova has been doing. They can definitely push themselves out to that first page.
Exactly, and of course, at the no, I take it back. Not of course. Alter Ego at the bottom. Having so far their best game so far.
Yes.
Right? That was by far their best game. We did say during the match, dodgy rotations.
Yeah.
It was a little bit weird the way they rotated things. I think they could be improved upon heavily. I hope they can use this game as a good launching point in the future matches and get themselves in good positions. I got the scar for a reason. It means I believe right now, Falik. So I'm going to believe in the homeboys right now.
You believe in them, I believe in you. Match number 9 is going to be San Hawk. And that is especially interesting because the biggest game yet, points-wise, did come from a Xanok game, and that was A7, and they do not seem to be performing at all today, 7.
Yeah, this was the big question mark for me for Alpha 7, where they're going to be able to maintain that first place. This is a team that tends to pop off, but if they start slow, it definitely hinders their performance. It definitely hinders their confidence that they're able to have for players. Now, for this match, though, I'm going to be looking at Influence Champion because they didn't perform that well yesterday when it came to Sandhawk. They ended up, I think it was with a 14th place finish and only 2 eliminations. And that's why I currently have their amazing jacket on. Shout out to their CEO for actually giving me this one. I feel like this team, if they're trying to maintain themselves there within this top 5, if they're trying to maintain themselves within that race, they need to have a good performance here in this Sandhawk.
I'm a bit annoyed at how tripped out you are every time, 7. Everything just fits him so well.
This is nice.
I was a little bit chilly. I was like, I'm going to support my homeboys while I'm at it, but I like it. It's cool.
I am jealous as well. You guys, do you have just a whole cupboards of merch is what I wanted to say.
I brought my cupboard here with me.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I don't know how you guys made that happen with the flight
find people.
But either way, let's look at the teams to watch from both of these analysts, from Maxman and 7 Worlds Gaming. S2G, Nova, and Influence Cameron coming in from Maxman.
I picked Silas more specifically, though.
Not an SCG pick, Silas.
No, I mean, because we had that question we brought on the pre-show for today, right, Alex? And me and 7 were in agreement on that one. We sometimes for SCG see just eliminations, no placement, or just placements, not eliminations. They got such a good even split of both eliminations and elimination and frag. Same thing. Eliminations and placement points. I want to see that continue. I want to see that flow keep going for these next 4 matches of today. This is the SGG we want to see at their peak.
And I mean, SGG actually ended up in a 4th place finish yesterday in this Sandhawk. Yeah. If they're able to maintain that momentum with the amount of eliminations that they just got, if Silas continues to pop off, which I mean, I know you're hoping he does, I can see them making even a bigger push there towards the top. Now, you're going to see a pattern here. You saw Fireflux, Godlike Stalwart,
what?
and then Influence Champion. These are teams that I feel like they need to react, especially with the teams that are towards the bottom. But with Influence Champion, what I was just talking about, they need to make sure they make something happen here. They usually tend to take Brazilian teams, especially, they tend to take advantage of the Sandhawks. Yesterday it didn't happen. Hopefully today is going to happen. And for Fireflux, I mean, this is a team that got a chicken dinner yesterday and had an impressive chicken dinner. Not just any chicken dinner with like 5 elims. It was over 10 eliminations. We haven't seen them at all today.
I do wonder, something comes up to my mind right now. We know that in the past, Alpha 7 Stalwart used to not share bootcamp. You used to fight a little bit over bootcamp, right? Stalwart's not been looking in their best shape right now. Alpha 7, a little bit slow today.
Yep.
Seeing how the Sanhok went yesterday, I'm thinking maybe Alpha 7 are going to have a change of heart and try and go back to bootcamp because that is their home ground. That is from the position for which they play really well typically. I don't know.
But Alpha 7 ended up winning yesterday in Sandhawk.
I know, but that's the thing, because they're feeling confident, maybe like they want to change things up a bit. No, you don't think so? It was a shot in the dark, mate.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
I just threw it out there.
100% disagree with that.
And that's fine.
I would hope they wouldn't do that, especially with how well it went for them yesterday. Hopefully this will be the confidence boosters that they need for today to get them out of that bad stretch. I mean, we've seen it before. When I talked to the players, you were able to tell they were super confident coming in today, and I'm pretty sure right now they are not feeling that way as they are currently not even in top 2.
Talking about confidence, a team that I just slightly want to touch on is 4AM, because that's the second time in a row they lost a player early on and they got absolutely destroyed by Silas. I can imagine that's going to hurt their confidence as well. 4AM, none of you guys picked them just now, but I still feel like they're still very much in the running for the title. Is that so?
Yeah, 100%. Like, every single team still has a chance to make it up there, right? Even Alter Ego in 16th position still has a chance to climb their way back up there, but look at Nova. Get all smiles on their faces now. They're like, it's the day 2 buff, as everyone would say. They're looking so strong right now, but as I said, any team can still make it up there. Back-to-back champion.
Yes.
Might want to make room for back-to-back-to-back champion.
Oh.
You're going to need a big one later on.
Okay, all right. I wasn't going to say it, but it does sound so...
That step up, mate.
It sounds so good, though.
Yeah, it really does.
Now,
are there many esports where you have, like, 3-peat world champions?
Uh-huh.
Very little. I can't even think of one.
Tribe Gaming. That's just off the top of my head. We don't have to talk about that,
Fair
though.
enough, okay.
For me, though, another team that I kind of want to be looking at, we just saw them on the street, Godlike Stalwart. That team, I mean, you were mentioning, too, if there was ever a time where they can take advantage of the situation, they know that now nobody's hot dropping them in boot camp. They know they're going to have a little bit of freedom to work with, right? I think yesterday they were actually able to work within that freedom, and during their rotation, they got caught. And nothing ended up happening out of that. I'm hoping this might be a change for them. We always talk about it, especially I always talk about it. Teams can use Sandhawk to just kind of spring themselves up out of the bad stretch.
Especially because normally, as you said, they drop normally in boot camp. You would say that is a position with Trifecta that opens up so many opportunities for you in pretty much any circle, you might be able to almost say. And it just felt, as I said, they were not able to really do much with it. And I do want to see them make use of such a central position on Sanhok to its full potential. They didn't do it yesterday. We don't have many Sanhoks. You can have 2 more opportunities to make it happen now. So I do want to see Stalwart use that position a little bit more to its full extent.
100%. And talking about aggressiveness and, using that position, we just had a fight from Geek, and you were saying Geek's aggressiveness is something that really stands out to you as well. And that aggressiveness almost got punished in the last game when they breached, when IHC breached them in that compound. They still made it work, but just barely.
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting fight we were looking at. That IHC Geek Fan fight. I think that Damn Rude was maybe a little bit slow to join up in that fight, but
a lot.
No, very, very late. He just almost didn't get it back into there. But I don't want to do it.
Do it.
Back to Stalwart.
Yes.
They third party the fight. Me and Seven are like, oh yeah, this is great. They go for an amazing third party, and then they don't fight it. Like, the idea was good, but the execution, there's no execution. That's the issue.
I wouldn't even call that a third party, to be honest, because they just decided to drive by. They were driving by. They were like, oh, you guys are fighting? Let me think.
Tourism.
Nope. Yeah.
They did throw in some nades, though, and they did get the flashes as well, and I believe 2 are one of the players. So they were able to eliminate that team as a whole. Looking at Alpha 7, I want to come quickly back on towards them because Sandhawk is essentially their home ground in terms of, best performance so far from them. And they've had 2 games where they went out really early. What are your chances for them in this game? Because none of you guys picked them.
Go first, Max.
No, you go first.
I'm hoping they win it. I know I didn't have them on my teams to watch, and that's because I wanted to make it a theme of just teams that I feel like definitely need to react. I feel like Alpha 7 would have fit there, but, this Influence Chemin just looks so good on me right now, this jacket. But with Alpha 7, I feel like if there was ever... If they can win a match, it would be this one. Their aggressiveness that they usually tend to showcase, it plays out wonderful for them. We saw how they were able to control the compound yesterday, too, how they were able to do a 4-4 split. You were talking about how at one point you wanted them to adjust, and it's like they were listening to you because they did just that. And they weren't just waiting there in the compound. They actually were defending it. They were making people back off. I mean, I think it was Revo where he threw a nade into Inco Gaming when Inco Gaming was thinking about pushing onto them. that backfire as Rebel was just being able to just clutch it up.
And what I loved in that game in particular for them is that they knew the weaknesses of that compound. They knew that, okay, there's a lot of teams that are going to just be going downhill to their location. North is literally the weakest point of that compound on the trifecta of the road. And what they do, they actively push out, send 2 players, clear all of S2G. The moment that happens, the South is your only problem. The moment that happens, you can easily push out that location,